All right, so now that we have these individual Pokemon, the details for them, we want to only grab the details that we're specifically looking for, which are ability, height, order, sprite, weight, number, type, or sorry, sprite, weight, type. So let's see if we can start grabbing these out one by one. And we can, this is actually a pretty good way to look at it. So we can see that this is what the JSON object looks like when we get it. So for the height, the order, and the weight, it's pretty easy. They're just right here, height, order, weight. Those are quite easy. So let's do those first just because they're easier. So I'm going to go back to my fetch here, and I want to handle that down here with it in the data. I want to start creating my new object. So I'm just going to, one at a time, isolate these pieces of data here. So I'm going to say const height equals data.height. Const weight equals data.weight. Remember, data represents a single instance of this object right here that we got from that API. Const order equals data.order. Easy, easy, easy. Now let's try digging for the, once again, I'm going to switch these to alphabetical order, just so I don't forget. But I'm going to try digging for the sprite for our image. So we know we have to go to sprite. So we're going to say const image equals data.sprites. And that's going to give us this object here. And then I want to get other from the sprites. So I'm going to do data.sprites.other. And then from other, I want to get the official artwork, which is another object. So it's official dash artwork. Now, unfortunately, we can't actually do official. We can't use a dash in a property of an object in JavaScript. So we have to use a different kind of notation for this. And if you've ever worked with dictionaries in other languages, this should look pretty familiar. But essentially, we're going to wrap it in brackets and put it in a string instead. And this is a way of doing dynamic properties for objects or dealing with properties that have the dash. So now I'm in official artwork, and the next place I need to be is the front default. And fortunately, we can do an underscore, so we don't need to worry about dealing with the underscore. We're allowed to use the underscore. So front default. Now that should give us the image URL. So those were the kind of easier ones. Now the harder ones are actually here in the abilities. If we look, we have abilities, which returns an array of 2 abilities here. And then within the array, we have an ability object, which has the name overgrow. Now, I only want the name out of all of this. I don't want the URL. I don't want anything else. I just want the name. Now, I can use that mapping function that we used before to kind of dig for that name. So we're going to say const abilities equals data.abilities.map. Now, essentially, that's going to create different instances for each of these points. So if I'm grabbing each of these objects one at a time here, and I'm going to say, I would like to use ability singularly, but the problem is there's actually something already named ability inside of there. So we could do that, but we'd have to use this notation, unfortunately. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to call it something else. I'm just going to call it datum. Datum. And then here I want to return datum dot. I think I have to put this in. Something's missing here. Return datum dot ability, which is this ability, and then dot name, which should give me the name out of here. Now, TypeScript is going to give me some grief because it doesn't like how it implicitly has an any typing, and it wants to have something with the ability name. Now, if no one were watching me, I would probably just write any here and move on with my day and not worry about it. If you do want to type this correctly, though, we need to create an ability, and then we need to have a name, which is a string. So this is kind of nesting our objects because we're kind of deep into nesting objects here. So we're nesting this name object, which is the string, or this name string, within the ability object. But once again, nobody's looking at you. Just use any there and just trust that you're going to get the right data. and move on with your day. So I'm going to copy this and I'm going to use this for type as well. So we're going to say types equals data.types.map. And I'm going to change this to type. And the reason for this, I already looked at this, but I just want to show you. This is the exact same format as abilities, exactly. It just has the word type instead of ability. So, and again, we're trying to get the name out of there. We're not trying to get anything else except for the name. So type, and then we'll do datum.type.name. And I believe that's all the stuff we're getting, right? We're getting abilities, height, order, sprites. So for sprites, we called image.img. Yep, I think that's good. Now let's create a Pokemon object. So we're going to say const Pokemon, which is going to be a Pokemon detail object, equals, and then we're going to put all of our info in here. We're going to say abilities, which is going to be abilities. We're going to say height, which is going to be height. We're going to say image, which is going to be image. Order is order. Types, types. Weight is weight. So this is the property name, and then we're assigning it to this variable. So this is the variable. You can actually, the color of this actually helps a lot with VS Code, so it's telling you that. It's still missing some stuff. It's saying we're missing name and URL. And that's because if you remember, we included that stuff as well because we included the original Pokemon type object and then added to it. So we need the name. The name is actually pretty easy to get. We can just do name data.name. That way we just don't have to pass the name in. We can just grab the name. Is there another format of the name, by the way, that might be nicer looking? Because maybe one that's not lowercase here. Is there another one that's like, I don't think so. I thought it might be cool if there was like an official name that actually was capitalized, but I don't see one here. Species, no, that's lowercase as well. Yeah, no, nothing there that looks like very promising. So that's fine. We'll just use, oh my gosh, stop it. We'll just use name and then URL. Well, we passed the URL in, so we can just add that here. We'll just say URL is the URL because this is this URL that was passed in. Now it's down here. Cool. And then let's console log the Pokemon and just make sure that it works, that it gets the right form and everything that we want, that all the data looks correct there. Oh my gosh. Okay, here we go. Refresh. And it looks like it's got everything that we need. We've got the abilities, we've got the types, grass, poison, we've got the URL, we've got image, so that's the image URL. Can I control click this? Take this stuff out and just make sure that this is the image that we actually wanted. Looks like it looks good to me. It looks like we got everything we need here. We got all the info that we could possibly want for our Pokemon. So next we'll figure out how to map this to our table.